Hopefully, before too long, this pile of stuff will sound like this. Stand by. Hey everybody, welcome to Overloaded. What is going on here? Flip Wilson is... It's all wrong. Crikey. Let's try this again. Hey everybody, welcome back to Rattlecan Guitar Restorations. I am James, and in case you were wondering, the melodic rhythmic guitar stylings that I just festooned upon you were recorded on a PV Patriot. Made in America. Hand painted by yours truly. Actually, Rattlecan painted. And oddly enough, there is a playlist and video of me working on this guitar. I'll put a link here-ish somewhere. I just thought if you're a longtime viewer, you might enjoy seeing some of the old guitars. And if you're a new viewer, you might enjoy seeing some of the old guitars. So anyways, there's one of them. What do we do this week in guitar building class? Let me look upon the images over here on the side. Where did we leave off? Okay, we brought the guitar body home, and I did a little bit of work at home. I just sanded a piece of alder. It's an offcut. They throw them away. You can use them for firewood, but I bring some home and I use them as test pieces. In this case, I sanded it down in order that I could capture the sanding, the very fine sanding dust, mix it up with some Titebond, the original Red Label Titebond, and used it to fill in some of those areas that were pulling away at the joints. Then we went back to guitar building class. I thought this was kind of neat. I've done this with PVC, but I've never done it with reinforced rubber hose. You get a section of it and you just split it down the side, and then you use that to put your sandpaper into. So basically what we're doing is we are finishing up the shaping of our radius, if you've done a radius, chamfer, if you have done a chamfer, which one of the students did. He's building a BC Rich inspired instrument, and he's putting a 45-degree chamfer on it. It's actually looking pretty cool. Hopefully, when these guitars are done, I can get permission from the people who are playing them that we can have a picture and say, hey, here's the people in our class and the guitars that they were making. We'll see if that works out or not. We trying to finish up the rougher areas that are along the side of the body. If you remember, I had a couple of areas of tear out that were needing some attention. So I did a bunch of that. And then we did the big scary thing. And so what I did is the instructor and myself, we used the guitar body that I have as the example to show how to do this. And then I just helped other people, because obviously I had done mine, and I'm used to this kind of stuff. And there are people in this class who are, again, not of a vocation or the avocation to do what we do as guitar builders, which is take impact drivers and speed bits, that you normally use for, roughing out holes to run electrical in when you're building a house, to drill out the jack hole. So we drilled those out, and I believe that was a 7/8 size bit. And then once we got that located, we were then able to use that as the access point to drill from the control cavity into the bridge pickup cavity. So that way we're going to have a way that we can get wires in there. We also had a jig that we used to drill the grounding wire. They actually just they print them out on the 3D printer, and originally they had it centered so that it would sit, so that it would just fit inside that rear pickup cavity. But what they found was the bridges that they were using at some point, I don't know if it was a casting or if they just discovered this along the way, there was a divot. And so the area where that grounding wire was coming up was not making full contact. Some people were having issues with getting some buzzing. So what they've done is they've shaved a portion of that away, and they have moved it over to the side. So your grounding wire actually goes in off center. I will attempt to get a picture of that template and show that up here next time. And then the other thing that we did is we drilled into the neck pocket, into the neck pickup cavity, and then through into the bridge pickup cavity. So now we have all of our wires, or the holes that will allow us to move wires in between control cavity, jack plate, bridge pickup, and neck pickup. And that's what we did. I brought my body home and continued sanding on it, and there are a couple of interesting areas here. One of these is actually a couple of these are areas that I had mentioned previously where we have a finger joint, and that finger joint actually runs through both the belly cutout and the leg cutout on the back. It's just kind of a neat looking thing. Whether we're going to see it or not, I don't know, because as you'll see in a moment, we have some, shall we say, interesting ideas for the side and the back. I also have this bark inclusion on the upper bout. Some people would just, blow a gasket if they saw that. I don't mind this stuff because here's a newsflash: trees are made of wood. Wood grows in nature. Nature does whatever it wants to do. So I also have another, looked like it was beginning to be a branch, and that's down on the back edge of the body, down near the pickup cavity. Again, are we gonna see it? Are we gonna see it very much? I don't know. So, which brings us to a test that we are doing. And I'll put the picture up, and I'll let you know that this is the finish, or at least a test for a finish that I'm contemplating for the side and the back of the guitar. This is TransTint black dye, and I have diluted the dye down in denatured alcohol, and I have wiped down this piece of alder. This is, again, the same offcuts that when they're making the guitar body blanks, these are the parts that are left over, and I just fish them out of the trash and use them to test on. And one of the tests that we're doing is to see how well and at what concentration, what the ratio is between the denatured alcohol and the TransTint dye, to get it dark enough to the level that I want it at, and also how it's going to how it's going to cover the back, how it's going to cover the end grain, because I don't know if we discussed this or not. I think of fibers in wood as little straws, because that's what they do. They move, they move nutrients and moisture up and down the tree, and they also move dye in and out of the wood very efficiently. And sometimes they can take up dye at a different rate than flat sawn or non-end grain types of wood. So we've got that on there. We're going to did that yesterday, and maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Schedules are crazy. To try to get that sanded down and then stain reapplied on it, and see. The other thing that I wanted to see is how much, if any, denatured alcohol and stain is going to raise the grain. I've done some staining projects with TransTint dye in water, and of course you do get it raising up the grain, which is if you sand it really smooth and then you get it lightly moisturized with some water, those little fibers on the end of those grains, they will pop up. I learned it as whiskering, because once you do that, it feels kind of like that. And so then you sand it again, and then your finish will be nice and smooth. Always testing. I'm never so smart that I can't learn something new. So we're going to see if this works out, because I've got to get moving on this, on finishing this. We have been told that we need to get finish on instruments next week, at least the beginnings of finish on instruments, and I'm trying to get ahead of the game here, because most of the people are just putting a Tru-Oil finish. I think we have one person who is going to do a swirl dip finish, and they've got to get a couple of coats of primer on their instrument first before they do that. So we're going to see how well this test works out. That is what I did in guitar class this week. Remember, this is a college credit course. This is satisfies a requirement in the mechanical engineering technology slot. You know, if you have to take some sort of a elective, that's the word. If you have an elective, this might be something that would qualify as an elective for your course of study, you know, at your local institution. Again, this guitarbuilding.org. Find a location near you. Hashtag not sponsored. Generally designed for middle school and high school students, but there are a number of places around the country that are also doing it at, you know, community college, you know, your post-high school education type of stuff. Anyways, if you've got questions, you got comments, put them in the comment section down beneath the sermon notes. If you got a question, put it down there as well. I get to them as much as I can. If you thought this was helpful, give us a thumbs up, share it with somebody. If you think it was worth that, be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell so you get notified the next time I do something like this. Got a new outro. Might want to listen to it. There's a surprise because I had an additional voice in the room. You guys have a good weekend. Cheers. Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with us this afternoon here at Rattlecan Guitar Restorations. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to click my beautiful face above. Hit the bell to be notified next time we drop a video. Here's a video that the Hive Mind has picked out especially for you. And remember, if I can do it, you can do it. You guys have a great weekend. Shut up, cat. Cheers.